Hello and thank you for attending my PowerPoint presentation on DoT, which is damage over time. So there have been quite a few DoT characters in the game, but the most recent one was 2.0 with Black Swan's release, which was over half a year ago. There are 4 types of DoTs, all of which have at least one 4-star representing them. Dedicated DoT characters are usually nihility, although there were a bunch of random characters who had random DoT in their kits back in 1.0, like Himiko, Hook, Asta, and so on. DoT skill of attack, except for those which are from breaking, and they can't crit. Fire, lightning, wind, and physical all have one kind of DoT each, and the last 2 have something that make them unique. DoTs can be also detonated to do the damage immediately, removing the OT from DoT. Lightning has shock. Shock is the most basic form of DoT, no special properties in the DoT itself, but the 2 main shock characters have additional specialties in their kit. Now Serval, who is an erudition unit, does have quite a bit of focus on kit-based crit damage, but she also places quite a bit of emphasis on DoT. And Serval can uniquely extend the duration of shock, although this hasn't turned out to be very useful as of now. Kafka, on the other hand, is the only character in the game who can detonate all 4 types of DoT at once, making her one of the most important characters for the archetype. This is also on top of her already pretty good shock multiplier from her ultimate and talent. Physical has Bleed. There is currently only one dedicated Bleed unit, which is Luca. Bleed is special in that it deals damage equal to either a percentage of the enemy's max HP or some other factor. In Luca's case, this is based off his attack, although break DoTs also have it based off of other factors I don't quite remember off the top of my head. I made a video on that. Luca can also detonate his own bleeds, which does a lot of single target damage. Luca can be played in Super Rake as basically boot hill on a bucket though, since the break DoT can also be detonated for huge damage. Burn doesn't have anything inherently special, but the 2 Nihility burn units, Jiaoqiu and Guinai Fen, they both have vulnerability tied to their burn. Jiaoqiu is mostly geared to its support and vulnerability, mostly for Acheron, with his DoT treated more of a small bonus. Guinai Fen, on the other hand, is more focused on the actual burn itself. Her vulnerability, Fire Kiss, builds up stacks whenever the enemies take damage from burn DoT. She can also detonate her own burn via her ult. Wind has Wind Shear. Wind Shear is special in that it can stack. Sample's Wind Shear can stack up to 5 times, and Black Swan's Arcana can stack up to 50, though from my knowledge, it will almost never exceed about 15. Both characters have builds that emphasize building effect hit rate with low base chances to stack up their Wind Shear with all of their attacks, as opposed to being from just 1 or 2 parts of their kit, like Kafka's DoT, which only comes from her ult and talent. However, there are quite a few problems with this. In 2.6's Pure Fictions, DoT buffs were around again, but from what I can tell was extremely unpopular. This really illustrates the few problems with DoT. First, the odds in DoT. Because endgame modes are based on how fast you can clear it, the odds in DoT really hurts here. Kafka can help, but she's a limited 5-star that's outside of DoT really bad. Like, she's not good outside of DoT. Which brings me to my next point, that the DoT characters aren't very versatile. Like, Black Swan's defense try is nice, but it's not better than Pilla. Guinai Fen's vulnerability is okay, but then it's not gonna bring as much damage as Pilla. And Kafka is just entirely pigeonholed into DoT. DoT also hasn't received any dedicated support since 2.0, since they've been pushing Nihility in the Acheron direction, since Acheron is a Raiden Mei variant, and Raiden Mei, from what I know, is a fan favorite among the Honkai franchise. And both DoT characters really need each other to perform still not as well as newer, more power-crept teams. Like, Kafka without Black Swan leaves you with basically just Guinai Fen, and that's not really that great. I speak from experience. Kafka and Black Swan together, like I did Kafka Black Swan on this new Pure Fiction on the Lightning and Wind half side with DoT buffs and only got 27k. In this new dedicated dot pure fiction, Kafka and Black Swan still aren't as good as Acheron Jiaoqiu, which really just goes to show it's just been so long since they released dot support that it's just been power prepped. Alright, hope you enjoyed. If you did, do like and subscribe. This is a very different style of PowerPoint and I'm still experimenting and refining it. If you're looking for more of my usual PowerPoints, there's the playlist. If you want to know more about Break, like I briefly mentioned physical Break and whatnot, you can check out this video where I go into detail. Alright, bye.